I've always, had a heart to serve, whether that was at Georgia Tech or in my neighborhood association or nonprofits or my church. It comes from a desire to see the city that I love continue to grow and be better. All you wanted to do was come in and make rent control, but my good Georgia State, economic development and planning masters told me that the state of Georgia prohibits rent control. It's expressed in state law since 1984. No city, jurisdiction, or county can set a rent control policy. A workaround with that was why I created inclusionary zoning. And so inclusionary zoning is a mechanism to kind of do rent control on new development. I created the inclusionary zoning policy around the Beltline because I said the Beltline is $1 billion of people's money, and the benefit has to come back in the form of affordable housing. And so that policy passed at the end of 2017, went into effect in 2018, and now ever since then, every new development on the Beltline has to set aside properties for affordability, which is great. I see tax abatements and investment and incentives as you have to put them where they're truly necessary. I want to incentivize. I'll buy the land as the mayor. We'll do a ground lease. And hey, if we have to, we'll build a box, and you just operate out of the box so that people have healthy food options in these communities. Or we do it as a commune, as a community project. It's easy to call it Cop City. Actually, firefighters train there too. So it's a public safety training center. So while I'm, still gaining information and still having discussions, I think accurate information and community, information needs to be real. This is where firefighters train, and to learn how to drive a big old ladder truck, you need some space and not Kroger parking lots to be able to learn how to move those things around and put out fires and do bomb, all these other kind of things that we need to be able to do for public safety training. It's not being used right now as a useful green space. This is returning it back to what the goal was 25 years ago when it closed down so that we could renovate it and come back. But it just didn't happen. In order to do that and to attract officers of a certain caliber that want to work in the city of Atlanta to get this great training, you're going to need a facility that actually, represents the city. Neighborhood planning units will always have a role in my administration. I've created the Community Leadership Institute, which is a way for the last 5 years, I created this way for each NPU to go through training to be able to, affect change in their communities. They learn the ways of city council. They learn how the government works. That's an institute I put together, and every year, 25 people go and get their stamp and their badge from each NPU. I think that right now we are at a tipping point in the city where the trust in government is fractured. And in order to restore that trust, you have to have mechanisms like the NPU system that is just as strong as the community will allow it to be. It could be as very boisterous and have a tremendous amount of input, so that we then have to hear from the community, that you can't shut them out. I got Invest Atlanta involved and the Beltline, and we came over there and ushered in a set of business support mechanisms for you. When I'm mayor, you're going to need a mayor that says, this is important to me. I need them to get the help that they deserve, and so that's how I can help you guys stay in business. And that's exactly what we did, was to help you with incentives, financial incentives to help you stay in business and to keep your lights on and help with equipment and all those other things. So when I'm mayor, I'm going to do more of that. If I was able to do that as a city council member for about 3 or 4 businesses on that street, and then the effects are now, look, the corridor is booming with opportunity, and people are coming off the Beltline, coming to the businesses on that corridor. This is the start of something that I will be doing across the entire city, is being hyper-focused on small businesses, hyper-focused on minority, Black-owned businesses, hyper-focused on businesses that have already started but need to scale. Specifically for oversight, is to appoint a board that represents the community businesses that are around those areas. That you have a board that's made up of business owners and operators, that they can give their input, take votes on how they would like to see that money spent, similar to a CID. and how they take votes on what they want to do, and hold us accountable. When I'm mayor, I want to be held accountable. I want to be supported and held accountable, and so the oversight will be there with me as well as with you being involved in the decision making of those funds. I don't think that we should stifle young men that learn how to make $200 a day.
Yeah.
Selling water, something that's essential. I think we have to harness that and cultivate it so that they want to get a real estate license at 18 and start selling real estate. They want to get an insurance license and start selling insurance. When you talk about boys selling water on the corner, I want to train them on how to be able to sell other products, whether that's real estate, whether that's owning restaurants and retail and all those things. So yes, a cash infusion. And I don't know, black folks are over-mentored and undercapitalized. It's something that I learned from Ryan Wilson. So yeah, we're gonna mentor these youth, gonna put our arms around them, as I'm doing right now. I'm not talking about something that I'm gonna do just, no. This is not theoretical for me. I can dial up young men that I have trained and facilitated their growth patterns in entrepreneurship. Yep. I believe that we need to have balanced growth, and it comes from young men and women that are able to, hone their skills and cultivate it into more than just water sales. Yep. But yes, they have to be paid. Every teen should have a summer job, a summer internship, or in some sort of training, and we can fund that with the business community and with city funds. And so, yeah, I think that we should have a bona fide program for the water boys. The relief valve is sitting right there, which is empty beds at AC/DC. A temporary use of AC/DC does not mean that I'm changing my proposal of a bill that I sponsored to look at how to redesign this facility for the use of the community, for health, for wellness, for mental health, for homeless support, for women's. I mean, we can look at this, but when you get new data, I can't look at new data and new information and act like I don't see it. I can't ignore that during a pandemic, there's a bunch of people that are stacked on top of each other that we have to do something about. Input is being taken in, and we're not making, one decision doesn't overthrow another decision. We didn't say abolish the law that we passed, which was to look at repurposing AC/DC, but yet we still have a property with beds that, there was an opportunity to be able to use it for beds for overcrowding situation. Those that have been placed in the criminal justice system, that are sitting at Rice Street, that are detained without being properly adjudicated, some of them may be innocent, and they are being held in a facility with a bunch of other people during a pandemic, and there's something that needs to be done.